Okay, everybody, it is the 1st of July 2020. Still a beautiful day up here in Woodinville in Washington State. Still working on our 2008 Honda Pilot full interior swap. I already got the door panels done from the previous video. We can see how those turned out. That's the new panel installed. I got all four done. And now we're moving on to the seats and the side panels. First thing we're gonna do, and you can do these all in a few different orders, but we're gonna attack the rear cargo area of this. Now, what we're gonna be doing in this video is removing the rear cargo cover and the third row seats, which is a little tricky. And I found an easier way to do it, and I'll show you that. But if you do need to get at these panels, maybe you need to work on your subwoofer, or you need to get into the rear corners for any other reason, you do need to take out the third row seat to get these panels off, these quarter panel interior panels. And the reason why is there's actually a tab down here at the bottom that is very tight, and it will break if you try to pull these off and force them up. And there's one on both sides, hence why the seat needs to be removed to clear the way for that. And just to let you know, I know that tab is there because I've actually broken a few of them in the past. I wish I'd done a tutorial a long time ago telling myself to not force it, because I would have learned not to break that one or two that I broke in the past. But that's what this tutorial is about now. So what we're going to get at first is the rear cargo cover and the third row 60/40 split. The tool you're going to need is a 14 mil socket and a ratchet and a small extension, or you can use a deep socket will help you, but just doing the ratchet and a small socket is going to be a little bit difficult because you're going to be down there pretty tight. We'll get to that in a second. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the rear cargo area cover. This requires no tools. You're going to push down on this little lever, pull it up, not all the way, almost all the way. Once you get it to this point, on each side you have a little kind of a pivoting hinge that releases when you get it to a certain point, and that point is not fully vertical but kind of up at an angle. Once you get it there, pop it up and it'll come loose. Now from this point here, you can't just pull it out because it's too wide. You can't go forward because it's too wide, so you got to go up at an angle, kind of get it past the seat belt, turn it, and then pull it out diagonally, and then set it out of your way. This is going to reveal the storage area in the back for your headrests. That's what these markings are here for. And it's also going to expose the bolts that we are after. So this rear seat is a 60/40 stow and go, basically. I love the back of these Pilots because all the seats fold down and it gets so flat and big you can almost haul, not a full sheet of plywood, but like a large piece, maybe a flat table or something like that, about 2/3 of a sheet of plywood. So the bolts that we're after, so if you look through this space here, inside, let's see if we can get in there in the dark, there's actually two 14 mil bolts on each side of each seat. So this is the passenger side 40, there's two bolts there, and then the other side there is two bolts. Then if we move over to the driver's side 60 and we look in there, you can see two 14 mil bolts there, and then on the other side two 14 mil bolts, and in the middle we've got the seat belts and a bunch of garbage left over. There we go. Two 14 mil bolts holding the seat belts down. That's what we have to get at. But the trick is there's not a lot of space here. You can't, I'm not a big guy, but I can't fit my hand in there, and getting your ratchet in there and actually being able to control loosening, it's kind of difficult. Now your first thought is try to pull these off. But it's not necessary. I don't recommend that. There's actually a very good chance you're going to break those trying to get those off. So what we want to do is you want to go around to the front of the seat. If you haven't moved your seats forward, move your second row seats all the way forward. We're going to lift up. We'll just do the driver's side seat. Well, I already had this set up. Let's make it at least look like I didn't get at it already. And keep in mind, I've done that just for the sake of speed. So, okay, so these are set. So when your seat's in the upward position, it will reveal two supports in a hinge on each side. You don't need a tool for this, but if you reach your hand behind this bottom plate, pull it out on each side, it will pop that free and you can remove that. When you remove that, it will expose a 14 mil bolt at the bottom. Using your ratchet, crank, 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 you release that. Do the same thing on the inside one, pop, pop, pull that forward, out of your way. Again, you'll have another 14 mil socket, which I already removed for the sake of speed. Or not socket, I'm sorry, bolt. Okay, now at this point, you've unbolted that. If you actually lift up the seat, you have now exposed the 4 bolts holding it, and the seat belts are a little more difficult, but you can actually get at those too. So I don't know if I can hold it. Let me see if I can hold it and do this with you guys watching. Try to make it quick. So 14 mil. Again, I use the extension just so I'm not running my fingers along the carpet. You're not trying to force it along the carpet. Let's see if we can't get at these and not draw this out too long. I'm sorry, guys. I probably should have prepped these ones too, but that's okay. Now again, you're rarely ever going to see me use any sort of power tools. Even though this is a metal bolt into the metal nut that's welded underneath the floor, I still like to use hand tools. It prevents me from stripping anything. You know, anytime you're using power tools, you're taking a chance of cross-threading something, and you don't necessarily feel it fighting back as the machine does it, because the machine may have too much torque, if you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through as we go here. So I'm going to remove these 4 bolts from the floor, and I'm just holding up. Here, I probably should move the camera because now you're looking at nothing. Maybe. Let's see. There you go. I'll give you something to look at. Once I remove these 4 bolts, the bottom brackets will no longer be attached. This one's the tightest already. There we go. This one, there it goes. So now it's loosening. Okay. Okay, so all 4 bolts are out. And now what we're going to do, let me grab the camera. You're going to set it back down. We're going to move around to the back. We're going to release the seat back into the fold position, and then we can slide it forward. So now I got all this room here. Now I can get at the seat belt bolts. Now I do believe you can slide these seat belts out of their position and pull them through the seat, but I'm removing it completely anyways. And instead of trying to yank those through and force them out and then have to go back and force them back into position, for me it's just easier to unbolt them. This is exactly why I like to kind of prep the bolts and get them close to being out before I do these videos, just for the sake of time. Yeah, oh, not there. They're at that point where they don't have enough torque. There we go. Okay, there's one. There's two. Okay, so now we're done with those bolts. Now, there's one last thing you have to do to get the seat out. We're going to flip it up on its side. And this actually could have been done at any point. There is, and we needed another tool. Let's get something here. We'll get our little pan head. So on the side of the seatbelt coming down, there's this little black button. You are going to push. Oh no, it's not that one. Sorry, it's this one up here. There is a little button that you're going to push right there. So I pushed that little button, it released the seat belt, and I probably should have done that first. That would have helped to get that out of the way first. It would have been easier to get on it, but there is a little tab. Maybe I'll do a second video on how to release that, just so that way you guys can see it. So once the seat belt is disconnected and the seat is unbolted, your entire seat can be removed. Okay guys, sorry about that, all over the place. Okay, our seat is out. And we're gonna go through the exact same formula to get the passenger side 40 out also. And at this point too, I can show you, this is the tab that breaks if you try to force this entire panel out. This is right here is the one. So all right guys, that's it for the rear seats. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos. Not just this Pilot, but any other videos that we're doing of cars up here. And please hit the like button and feel free to leave comments. Man, it's bright out here. All right guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.